Thank you for getting your hair all over my tea. Yes, thank you. My brain just blanked out completely. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Rochelle and I read a variety of books and also have a disability. And today what I thought we could go over is this lovely summer bingo board that I made. If you're like me, you might also be battling some indecisiveness with what kind of books you want to read for the summertime. We moved into our new house at the end of last year, and so right now we're getting to see a lot of the nature and different things that are starting to pop out in our house, in our backyard, and it's just making me so inspired to read and try to go outside more with a lot of the books that I'm reading. But at the same time, I am so unsure which books I really want to go and pick up. We do already have a Defend the TBR game, which is a monthly TBR board game that I went and created, and we're still going to go and do that. But I thought it would be fun to make and create a specific summer reading bingo board for us to do. And so I have it obviously here, and we're going to go through it and some of the books that I have picked out. But also, if you want to go and participate in this as well, I have the link below so that you can go and download the board and go and do it alongside of me, or also on your own. I don't have any control over what you decide to do. But with this bingo board, I figured that if you want to go and do it where you have a single book that you're putting for each spot, each prompt on the board, you definitely can do that. Or you can go and use the same book if it fits for multiple different prompts on the board. You can do it however you want. So with that being said, let's get into it and go through row by row of the different prompts that I put on there and some of the books that I picked out that actually could be used for multiple spots on the bingo board. All right, so starting on the first row, going from left to right, we have our first spot, which is a book written by an author of color. So I obviously have a lot of different books on my bookshelves. I've done a lot of different book hauls. So you've seen that I tend to pick a lot of diverse books to read. But the specific one that I'm picking for this prompt is Lure of the Wilds by Annalise Sabrana. I have been wanting to read this book forever. I've had it on my list multiple times, but I just haven't had the chance. And with the sequel coming out, I think later this year, I really need to go and get to it. So this is my copy. It also has these gorgeous sprayed edges, but this is the book that I am picking. And as you see, as we go through the different rows on this board, this could actually be used for multiple spots. Let's say I pick a different book for that first spot. I could put this anywhere else on the board that also fits for this book, or I could also place this book multiple times. It's really up to you and however you want to go and use this bingo board. I just created it for fun to help me get a better idea when I'm feeling indecisive and can't exactly pick out what books to read. I kind of need more direction, and that really feels like such a Capricorn comment. Then moving on to the next spot, I have read a novella. So this one could be a novella, or it could also be like a shorter story, a shorter book, whatever feels right for you. But I decided to put Lost by Imogen Keeper. This is the second book in the After the Plague series, and I've been meaning to go and read this book, but I just haven't had the chance to do so. So I picked this one for that spot on the board, and hopefully that will get me to pick this one up because it is a fairly quick read, and I think I have almost the entire series except for the most recent book, so I have a lot of books to get through. Then we have a book with a magical creature, and I picked, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but I picked The Last Refuge. This book has this gorgeous creature on the front cover, and I think I ended up first hearing about this book when I was scrolling through Instagram, and I picked it up right away, but I just haven't had the chance to read it. This book just gives me a lot of like spring summer vibes, so I think this one would be a great one to go and pick up for the summer as well. Next is a book with an orange cover, and I decided to pick up Manila Takes Manhattan by Carla de Guzman, and this one is a book that I've had on my list for a while because the main couple in the story is Filipino, and I'm also Filipino as well. I've been really wanting to get more into books that do have a lot of Filipino culture inspired and integrated into it. So I think this one would be great to go and read in the summer as well. It's not too thick of a book, and this also could work for multiple prompts on the bingo board as well. So as we get through it, I'll try to remember to go and hold up or at least post pictures and images of other books that I have in my pile that could work for the prompt as well. Last one on that row is a book in a post-apocalyptic world, and I decided to go with The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I've mentioned it before on this channel a few times that I've been really wanting to reread this series, and I feel like summertime would be great to go and read this. I could go and read this book outside listening to all the birds and everything, which could also maybe be a little bit triggering because anyone that's read the series knows some stuff that happens. I don't want to do spoilers. I don't know if you read the book, watch the movie, but just to keep things fair, I won't spoil. But yeah, this is a book that I am going to add on my list for this. I do have another one that I would also like to read as well. I've been working on rereading this book series, Kesley Cole. It's the Arcana Chronicles, and I've read the first two books, I believe, by going and doing Defend the TBR. So this is another one that's in a post-apocalyptic world. This is the third book, Dead of Winter, and just in case if you forgot what the first book looks like, this is the first one. But yeah, so either of those books I feel like would be perfect for the spot on the bingo board as well. Moving on to the next row, we have Read a Sequel. And so the book that I have for this spot, and honestly a lot of the other books that I have in my pile could be used for this, but I have The Master Trial by Michelle N. Hagood, and this is the second book in her series. I got this version that has I've Got Your Back. She went and personally sprayed the edges of her books as well, and I picked this up at the Colorado Springs Book Bash. So I've been really wanting to read this. As you can see, it's a bit of a chunky boy, but I really want to try my hardest to go and read through this because I know the author is working on the third book, and I'm not quite sure when that one will release, but I'd like to go and read this book before that happens. I put this one in the list of books I'd like to get done for summer. We'll see if that happens because it is a chunky boy, but I felt like this one was a great one to include for reading a sequel. The next spot is Read a Book with Flowers on the Cover. I went with Vivid by Ashley Bustamante, and you can see that there's like sunflowers on here. I think The Last Refuge also had flowers on it as well. So now you're starting to see that a lot of these books could work for multiple spots on the board or could fill multiple spots if I'm not able to read a single book for every single spot on the board. It's very flexible for however it works for you and your schedule over the summer. Then moving on to the next spot, Read a Book with a Color in the Title, and I went with Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. I've had this one on my list for a while and recently picked it up when I did my little used bookstore haul, and I've been really wanting to read this book. I also love how this edition just fits perfectly in my tiny hands, so I think this one would be great to go and read for the summer as well. And I really want to get through this series and start it already, so I feel like why not do it in summer when I'm already feeling inspired and excited to pick this book up. Then moving on to the next spot, it's a book with a disabled main character. So July is Disability Pride Month, and so this one feels perfect to go and read in the month of July. Also, it fits the prompt for a book with disabled main character, and that is Sunbringer by Hannah Kaner. This would also work for the sequel spot as well on the board, but I've been really wanting to get to the series, get back into this world. I do love that the main character has limb difference representation because that is something that is very close to me, obviously, since I have a limb difference. But I know the third book released this year, and so I've been really wanting to get back into it and read these books. So this will be my pick for that spot on the board, or as well as any other spot this fits for, but I think for sure I'm planning on reading this in July just because it is Disability Pride Month then. Then the last spot on that row is Read Outside. So this is one that will be super easy. You could go and read outside in your backyard, or maybe even go and read outside at a cafe, a park, whatever works for you. But I definitely wanted to include this spot on the board because it is something that I would really like to do. as often as I can, to be honest. I would love to get outside more, especially because our backyard is just this jungle right now, full of so much greenery, and I know I would love it, and I know Nugget would especially love getting to be outside even more, especially since we have a backyard that is not as hazardous as our previous house. If you know, you know. Moving on to the third row, I have a book with an LGBTQ plus protagonist. And so the book that I have is A Bon Me for Two by Trinity Nguyen. And this one I think I got sometime last year. I've been really wanting to read it, and it's a very quick, short read. As you can tell, I have a lovely copy that has these gorgeous sprayed edges. But I also have this other book, Hollow, and I'm a part of Taylor's Street Team. I really want to read this book as well, and I believe it comes out in September. So these are a couple of different options I have, but Cassie, the main character in Hollow, is also LGBTQ+, so either of these books would be perfect for this prompt as well. Then I have a couple of options for this next prompt, which is a book with a green cover. Now, this one was hard at first looking through a lot of my shelves. I don't have as many green books as I thought. Some of them have spurts of green, but I wanted to do a cover that had mostly green on the cover. So I have Give Me a Sign by Anna Sorrentino. This one would also work for a disabled main character because I believe both characters in this book are deaf, but I have this one. And I also have Well Met by Jen DeLuca. It is almost Ren Fair season here in Colorado, so I feel like this one would be great to finally read, especially for Ren Fair season. I think I had this one on my list last year to read during this time, and it just didn't pan out. So Well Met by Jen DeLuca could be perfect to also read for the summer because it would get me in the Ren Fair mood, which I love. It's basically my Super Bowl for the year. And of course, it wouldn't be a bingo board without having a free spot on the board. So I have one there. I put a book there because it felt very fitting. So automatically, you already have a spot on the bingo board no matter what time you start this bingo board for the summertime. Next, we have a book with a love triangle, and I went with Blood Marked by Tracy Dion. I read Legendborn a couple months ago, and I absolutely loved the book. It is worth all of the hype, honestly. Like, pick it up. Stop delaying it, but I haven't had the chance to go and pick up the second book, and so I wanted to go and add this one to my list. It could also work for the spot with a book written by a person of color, so this one could fit multiple spots on the board as well. I know the third book came out a few months ago, and I've been really trying to get to this series as fast as I can so that I can go and get that book and read it as well. Last spot on this row is a book that starts with the letter S. This one also gave me a lot of issues because I could not find, for the life of me, one that started with an S. I don't know why I was struggling so hard, but then I realized I have this one. So this is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I've mentioned this book so many times on my channel and just wanting to go and read this book. I haven't had the chance, so we are making this one a priority to read for the summer. And this also has flowers on the front, so this also fits for another prompt on the board. I really didn't think this would be as easy as it turned out because when I was looking through, I was like, this might be a little bit difficult, but honestly, looking through a lot of the books that I have, they fit so many different spots and just make this feel a little bit more accessible and not as daunting to go and tackle for the summer. Moving on to the next row, this is another really easy one. It's read for 1 hour. So you could also break this up into chunks, but as long as your total is an hour of read time, I think that will easily go and cross the spot off of the board for you, and also gives you an automatic free spot on the board as well. So I did put a few different ones throughout the board just to make things a little bit easy, but also to at least get you to pick up an actual book. An anticipated read is the next spot on the board, and for this one I have so many books that I will insert pictures of here. I have a lot of different books that I got so lucky to get accepted for in NetGalley to read, and so a lot of these are my anticipated reads, but I couldn't narrow down and pick an exact one. So this might kind of be up for mood reading and whichever one actually feels right to go and read in the moment. So yeah, this one is super easy as well. a book written by a female author. I decided to go and put Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce on my list. I read the first book, I think, earlier this year. Time is kind of starting to blur together, so I've been losing track of which books I've read when, but this one did go and release this year, and the first one was so cute, so I really do want to read this one too, and I think this also is very fitting, especially with Ren Fair season coming up. I just want to get all the nerdy feelings and vibes and just get into that atmosphere and world because I love Ren Fair season. If you can't already tell, I love dressing up. I love doing huzzah to the tipper type of things. So yeah, I do have a lot of books that just bring a lot of those nerdy vibes for my summer in the pile, as you can see. A book with a one-word title. This one was also really difficult as well because there were some that I was like, oh, this is one word, but then I moved some decorations on my bookshelves and realized, no, there's actually a few more words, or there's 2 words. So many of the books on my shelves had at least 2 words. But then I was looking again and realized I have Bunny by Mona Awad, and I think she actually is writing a second book. A second book is going to be released for this. I've been really wanting to read this book. I've heard nothing but good things about it. My matron of honor also recommended it to me as well, and since Charles picked it up for me for Christmas, I really have been needing to get to it as soon as possible, and it's not too thick of a book either, so I think this would be fun to also go and add in the pile as well to go and tackle. Then the last one on this row is a book ending on an even number. This one was also really difficult. Some of these prompts that were oddly specific were the ones that were kind of a bit of a, scratching your head moment, because I would look through it, I'm like, oh wait, there's an epilogue, and I'd keep flipping and think that, oh, it ends on an even number, and then turn the page, nope, it's an odd number. So that one gave me a little bit of trouble as well. This was one though that I did see on my shelf and happened to have an even number, so it's Always Only You by Chloe Leese, and this is a part of the Bergman Brothers series. I haven't read any of the books in the series. I've kind of slowly been collecting them just because I've heard that there's different types of disability representation, whether it's physical, mental, chronic, or invisible. There's so many different ones to go and cover, but yeah, I've heard that this has different types of representation in it, and so I've been really wanting to pick up this series, and I know a lot of people have really enjoyed it as well. So since it ends on an even number, I think I'm gonna finally get the chance to go and read this, and I'm very excited. I've been surprisingly enjoying romance books recently. I know, who is she? I don't know. I don't recognize me. I don't know what happened, but I've been enjoying romance, so I'm excited. Then last row, and starting with the first one, is Sunset Colored Book. So this one I did have quite a few different ones. We could even go back to the last one for the prompt that we had. This one has kind of a sunset colored cover, but the one that I decided to go and pick specifically for this prompt is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I have really been wanting to read this author as well. I've heard nothing but good things about his books. I have another one that I got as an ARC, which my brain is blanking at the moment, but I'm planning on reading it before the end of this month. But yeah, so I'd really like to get to this one as well. I've heard this is definitely a favorite for a lot of people out of all of his books, so what better time to go and pick it up as well, and the cover very much looks very sunsetty. Then we have a book adapted into a movie, and I believe, yeah, there's a sticker on this one. Unfortunately, not a removable sticker, but this is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I actually do have this one picked out for my horror bingo by Wicked Reading, and I'll include that bingo board here. But I do have that one on the list for that one, and I was really struggling to look through my shelves to kind of find a book that was adapted into a movie that I haven't read yet, because a huge goal of this summer bingo board for me is also to read a lot of books that I haven't read off of my bookshelves. So I felt like this one was perfect, and it would also cross a spot off of another bingo board for me. So, you know, win-win. It definitely accomplishes so much for me with this. Then we have a book with a blue cover, and I went with Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. I feel like this one could also work for maybe the green cover as well, because there's a little bit of greenish blue on it. But I felt like this would be perfect. I've really been wanting to read Lila Sage as well, and I think the last book in this series finally released, so what better time to go and pick it up, because if I love this one, then I could just get the other books in the series and just binge it all together, and I love the idea of that. But yeah, I think this one would be great for a summertime read as well, and I'm so excited to dive into the series because, as you know, I'm in my romance era, which is just still baffling for me to say. I still love horror, and as you can tell, I do have some horror and thriller, but I also have a lot of romance in there, so it's a great mixture of genres, and I'm very excited for it. Alright, second to last spot on the board is a book with a number in the title, and I decided to go with 5 Survive by Holly Jackson. I was starting to notice that I didn't have too many horror or thriller types of books in my pile, and so when I was struggling to find one that had a number in it, this one popped out at me, and I was like, yep, okay, that's the one that we're gonna go with. So excited to go and check this one out as well. Then last spot for the bingo board is a buddy read. I have a couple of different books in this pile that would work, and so earlier when I was mentioning the Hunger Games, I did talk to my friend Curious Cat about potentially reading the most recent Hunger Games book, which is Sunrise on the Reaping, but I told her that I really want to reread the Hunger Games books before getting to that series, so that will be very much up in the air depending on whether or not I get to those books before then. But one that another friend of mine, Once Upon a Bookish Steph, and I have talked about is reading The Reformatory, and so this is the one that I'm picking specifically for the buddy read spots, and I'm very excited to go and pick this one up. It also does work really well for the sunset colored cover, and so this one has multiple spots it can work for as well. And yeah, I'm really excited for it. I think the total that I have in my pile is maybe around 23 books, give or take. So there's a lot of different options. I'm not entirely sure if I will read every single one of these books, and so who knows, maybe some of these books might be on the bingo board multiple times, but either way, I'm super excited. I think this will be so much fun to go through and kind of pick out different spots on the board to put some of these books. I don't even know if the pile of books I have is for sure the list of books that I'm planning on reading. It could be these books, it could be a bunch of other ones. I do have a lot of books on my bookshelves, but for now, these ones all feel right. I feel very excited to pick up every single one of these books. Whether or not it happens over the summer, we shall see. But if you want to participate and do this as well, I'd love to know in the comments down below. Maybe leave a checkmark emote in the comments below just to let me know if you're also going to do the bingo sheet as well. And then if you do, I'd love to know as well. Like, go and tag me in your stories on Instagram. I'll include my username here. It's different than it is for my YouTube channel, and that's just because I did a lot of disability advocacy on my Instagram, and so I wanted to keep that information the same and not change it. So yeah, if you do this bingo board, if you end up completing a spot, go and tag me in the story, go and tag me in your post. I'd love to also go and see that, and we can go and talk about different books on there as well. But I'm excited. I hope you're excited too. And with that being said, I'm gonna wrap this up and remind you that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye everyone.